In the quiet halls of Stanford Memorial Church, a killer was watching. She was just 19, a small-town girl with big dreams. Arlis Perry came to Stanford with hope in her heart and faith as her shield. But some shields can't protect you from evil. It was just past 11:30 p.m. when Arlis told her husband Bruce that she was going to mail some letters, a simple errand that would become anything but routine. The couple had a minor disagreement about tire pressure, a trivial moment that would be forever etched in the timeline of tragedy. Bruce wanted to go with her, worried about his young wife walking alone so late at night. But Arlis insisted on some time to herself.
"I'll just walk around campus and stop by the church. I'll be home soon."
Those would be her last words. Bruce returned to their campus housing, expecting Arlis to come back shortly. But minutes turned into hours. By 12:30 a.m., worry replaced patience. He walked back to Stanford Memorial Church, only to find every door locked tight. What Bruce couldn't have known was that his 19-year-old wife was already dead, locked inside the very church where she had gone to pray. A place of peace had been turned into a scene of unimaginable horror. Stephen Crawford, the church's night security guard, made a chilling discovery. One door was unlocked, a door Crawford swore he had secured the night before. Expecting perhaps a simple act of vandalism, he entered the church. What he found was far more horrifying. In the front pew, exactly where Arlis had knelt to pray hours earlier, lay her body. She was naked from the waist down. An ice pick protruded from the left side of her head. Her neck had been broken. This was no ordinary murder. This was a statement. A brutal, calculated act of violence that went beyond simply taking a life. The young woman who had spent her life devoted to her faith had been murdered in the most sacred place she knew. The police faced an impossible task, with their investigation clouded by sensationalism and speculation. Bruce Perry became their first suspect, a grieving husband, just 19 years old, interrogated for hours. But he never wavered. He agreed to a polygraph test without hesitation. His fingerprints were checked, his alibi verified. Bruce was cleared. But the real breakthrough would take decades. The FBI's profile of the killer was detailed. They described a lone male aged 17 to 22, likely with a military background, someone who would take a souvenir to relive the crime. Little did anyone know how perfectly that description fit Stephen Crawford, the very security guard who had first discovered Arlis's body. For 44 years, the case remained cold until a stunning breakthrough in 2016.
Stephen Blake Crawford, 72-year-old, was a security guard at Stanford University at the time of the murder. Crawford had been a person of interest since the beginning of the investigation. Our detectives continued to piece together additional information to this tragic puzzle, and we were able recently to link Crawford's DNA to the crime scene. Today, our detectives were serving a warrant, and when they knocked on the door of Crawford's residence, he killed himself.
Investigators found critical evidence that had been mislabeled for decades. A pair of pants they thought belonged to Arlis actually belonged to Bruce. Hidden in plain sight was a crucial piece of evidence, a semen sample that cracked the case. Forensic experts ran the DNA, focusing on everyone originally interviewed. Stephen Crawford stood out. A former Air Force member, Crawford had been a campus police officer before being demoted. In 1992, his ex-wife reported him for stealing hundreds of rare books and artifacts from campus, saying he just liked old things. When investigators interviewed him in 2016, Crawford realized they were closing in on him. After the interview, they collected a discarded water bottle. The DNA was a perfect match. But Crawford wasn't going to face justice quietly. When detectives arrived to arrest him, they expected a routine apprehension. Instead, they found him sitting on his bed with a gun. As officers retreated, a single gunshot rang out. Stephen Crawford had chosen to escape justice on his own terms. After 44 years, the Perry family finally had closure. Investigators found a copy of The Ultimate Evil, a book about alleged satanic killings, in Crawford's apartment, a chilling reminder of the conspiracy theories that had surrounded Arlis's murder for decades. Arlis Perry was more than a victim. She was a young woman full of hope, married to her high school sweetheart, dreaming of a bright future at Stanford University. Instead, she became the symbol of a brutal crime that haunted the nation for nearly half a century. Her story is a reminder that justice, though slow, can still find its way home.